'Cause I'm tired of living life this way. Feels like it's never gonna change. So it's down the road I go. You're gonna hear me coming, just listen for the banjo.
Unique New York. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. We're back, baby. We're here. Ready to rock and roll, ready to drink whiskey. We're ready to F to the uck, if you know what I'm saying. Sorry. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Who Gives a Dram. Don't even know what episode this is. This is going to be technically episode 95. Last week's episode didn't go towards the numbered episode. So episode 95 of Who Gives a Dram, coming back on that ass. And I'm excited. I'm excited to be back here on the podcast. I'm excited to, talk to you guys. Just wipe my nose like I'm doing cocaine. Promise I've actually never done cocaine. I've actually never done any drug before. I've never smoked weed. I've never done cocaine. I've only done heroin once. I've never done meth. I've never done mushrooms. And I'm proud of that. There's a great quote from Rick Dalton in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood where he says, Cliff Booth asks if he wants to take a hit of his acid cigarette. And Rick Dalton says, "No, thanks. My booze don't need nobody." And I say that once a week. So that's awesome. A lot of stuff has happened since the last time we talked, and we're going to get into it. Some UFC news, some movie news, I guess. I haven't really written anything down about what I want to talk about, but I do have a whiskey that I want to review. Compliments of my buddy Jason over at Bradshaw. Sent me over a bottle of the Silverbelly whiskey, which is Alan Jackson's new whiskey, clocking in here at 91 proof. It is something I've already tasted. I've already reviewed on Bourbon with Friends, but I wanted to do it here on Who Gives a Dram as well. So we're going to get into Silverbelly whiskey. We're going to catch up a little bit, and then I'll get you guys on your way. My nose is so itchy. You know what it is? It's my mustache. My mustache hairs get on my nose a little bit, and then that causes a problem. My sniffer gets a little itchy. Make sure you guys are following on Instagram, Who Gives a Dram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all the same. Make sure you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Breaker, Overcast, Google Podcasts, Pandora, wherever you listen to your podcast. Make sure you're subscribed. Rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts for me, please. And make sure you're subscribed on YouTube so you can get the videos as well. Leave a comment on there. Like the videos, so on and so forth. I guess I want to start by saying, I know the last time I spoke to you guys, it was kind of different. Very hard for me. Very emotional. But with that being said, I really appreciated everybody who reached out. Both through the podcast to me directly, but not more importantly, but, to the family, people that I know on a personal level that, came to the wake and to the funeral, and just those that reached out to not only my family, but more importantly, my Uncle Craig's family. It really means a lot to me. It's still incredibly tough for a multitude of reasons, but that's life. That's life. There's nothing I can do about it now, besides be with my family, which I have been extensively, and I couldn't be happier about it on that front. I'm spending so much quality time with my family, and it's going to continue to happen forever. Sometimes you lose sight of how deep family and how deep blood runs. And unfortunately, but also fortunately, sometimes it takes events like this, tragic, unexplainable events that should not have happened but did, to give you a gentle reminder of how important family is and how important it is just to keep in touch with those that you love and keep in touch with people that are important to you, family or not. Just shoot, whether it's shooting somebody a message, a Facebook message, a text, a quick phone call, a FaceTime, anything. Just to let someone know that you're thinking of them. And that's something I'm going to try to get better at, is just reaching out to the people that I want to be involved with. And a lot of people I've reached out to this past week or so, but they're just a random text message, just checking in, seeing how people are doing, both from the podcast and also not from the podcast, just wanting to be a part of wanting those people to be a part of my lives, even if I don't talk to them much, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I promise this isn't going to be a super deep emotional episode like last time, but last time was needed. And not to get into everything too much, but that podcast, sitting here for 15 or so minutes, and my gain is testing. Okay. Hopefully that's better. I feel like I was kind of soft looking at my gauges here on GarageBand. Sitting here last week, or whenever it was, I forgot when I recorded the podcast, and saying what I said and releasing it, that was my closure. The more I think about it, that was my closure to what happened and accepting the reality of the situation. At least it was it was a large part of my closure. I don't want to say it was everything. I'm still not. There still isn't complete closure, but I'm just happy. I'm happy I have the family and friends that I have. Is essentially what I'm trying to say, and it's important to reach out to people that you love, to people that you want, that you care about, that you want to be in contact with. Reach out, make sure they're doing okay, and just remember that life can be taken away from you at any single second. It's so cliche to say that, but it's so true, and I have been trying to live my life like that now, because I know that's what Craig would have wanted, but let's pop this open. Solid cork pop. By the way, Silverbelly, using a real cork, always appreciated here on the Who Gives a Dram podcast. I do have to drive after this, so I'm not going to drink that much. What else is new, man? What else is going on? We had, I don't even know. So when I say my brain has been mush for a week and a half now, I mean my brain has been mush. I've been keeping up with Game of Thrones. I am on episode 4 or 5. The last episode that I watched was the episode where Rhaenyra and Daemon, or the uncle, went into the brothel and started making out for a little bit. And you saw, it was the first episode where you saw a wiener. And I noted it down that this episode, I was like, oh, here we are. More floppy wiener on Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones has an obsession for showing the denim weasels. And listen, I'm all for inclusion. People never bat an eye when you see breasts on a movie or TV show, but it's different when you see a wiener, because it's so a a wiener doesn't look like it's supposed to be there. You know what I mean? Like it looks out of place to, like, if you're just looking quickly and then you see a wiener and then it's like, oh wait, what the hell was that? If you see a naked woman, like without pants on, that's different than seeing a wiener. And with Game of Thrones, it's always just floppy wieners flopping around, like, because it's whatever 1500s, whatever time frame it is in this fictional world. But it's a fictional world, but they still got them floppy wieners. Imagine if I run for president one day and then someone pulls that clip. I would make a good president, though. The first thing, I actually was talking to my mom about this a little bit ago. I think during the start of football season was when I spoke to my mom about this. I said, Mom, if I ever ran for president, if I was married to Queen Elizabeth, rest in peace, and now she's dead and I take over, the first law I would make is I'd put a new national holiday on the map. It'd be the first thing I did. It would definitely win me over with the public. And if Joe Biden wants to improve his polling results and have any type of chance in 2024, not getting political, just saying, then this is what he would do. If I was Joe Biden's advisor, this is what I'd do. I'd go to Joe Biden and I'd say, Mr. President, this is how we improve your polling. Make the day after Super Bowl Sunday a national holiday. And then you win. Doesn't matter who runs. Trump, DeSantis, Poland Springs Ninja, a.k.a. Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Mitt Romney, whoever, John McCain, kidding, rest in peace, George Bush, Jeb Bush, Bill Clinton, I don't know, Ronald Reagan, whoever runs from the Republican Party, whoever gets the nod, no chance they're beating Joe Biden if Joe Biden makes the Sunday after Super Bowl Sunday a national holiday. It should be a national holiday. It's got to be one of the most called out days of work of the entire year. Just make it a holiday, man. Make it a holiday. It's the most watched television event all year. 100 million plus viewers every single year. We're all watching it. We're all partying. We're all drinking in some aspect, or we're eating enough for us to burst out our belts. Just making a national holiday. And then not only that, but you look good to the public. You become all hip and cool, and with it, you become fat with a PH, and you win the election again. Now, Biden's 80, so I don't know if he's even going to make it to the election. For being completely honest here, I would never wish death upon anybody, especially a sitting president. That's my president. He's the leader of our country, and I will support him. I do not want him to pass away while he's in office. I don't want him to pass away at all, but that's the reality of the situation. The man is old. The man shows signs of that old age quite often. Again, I'm not getting political. This has nothing to do with political alignment on any side. I'm just saying. I'm observing as a neutral independent the qualities of the leader of the free country, and sometimes they're a little iffy. So we talked about floppy wieners. We talked about Super Bowl Sunday, Monday. That's what the name of the holiday should be. Super Bowl Sunday, Monday. You get Super Bowl Sunday, Monday off from work. Paid holiday for work. Or at least it shouldn't be frowned upon if you take it off. Like I'm sure there's cool bosses out there that are like, yo, like it's not required, but like for real though, if you take off Super Bowl Sunday, we'll pay for it. Or hey, you can't pay for it, but not gonna reprimand you, not gonna go towards your PTO, or I don't know, something like that. It's better than having like. Honestly, there's so many days off, like Columbus Day, Labor Day. They're all great. Columbus Day, I don't really get the point of anymore, but Labor Day, Memorial Day is huge. Like, if we're going to have Columbus Day and Memorial Day, we should have 9/11 off. Whatever day that falls on, that should be a holiday. a day of remembrance, since we're remembering our fallen soldiers, our fallen comrades and citizens, 3,000 plus on that day. I mean, we should have that off. Pearl Harbor, December 7th, my sister's birthday. Explains a lot about her. That should be off as well if we're really gonna go knee deep into it. I wonder why 9/11 isn't not like a holiday, but like you have that day off as a day of remembrance. I feel like that's how it should be. 9/11 or Super Bowl Sunday, Monday. You pick. I love watching football this time of year, man. I want to say, no, I'll record another podcast before my birthday, but my birthday's a week from today. Today's Tuesday, to September 20th. This will come out on the 21st. So it's 6 days from today. It's a week from today when I record this, though. And I'll be coming at you guys live from Fenway Park on September 27th. And your boy may or may not be on the field. And by may or may not, I mean I'm definitely going to be on the field for batting practice. So shout out to Ryan for getting me those BP tickets. He's the hitting coach for the Orioles. Good friend of mine. Great man. Best hitting coach I've ever had. Best baseball coach. One of the best baseball coaches I've ever had. I was fortunate to have several very good baseball coaches. He's up there, top 3. He hooked me up with those tickets for my birthday. So shout out to you, Ryan. Thank you very much. But we'll talk about that later on when I do another podcast before them. So we talked about floppy wieners. We talked about Super Bowl Sunday, Monday. We talked about Fenway Park. Red Sox are sucking, obviously. Like, there's no chance that they're going to make the playoffs. But I'm going to like being in Boston for my birthday. That'll be fun. Lord of the Rings. So I did talk a bit of smack about Lord of the Rings before it released. I think I talked about it on the podcast, where I said it just didn't look good. It looked a little too not low budget, because the budget was $500 million for this show, but it just looked a little bit too computer generated and too good. The best part about the original trilogy is the use of practical effects and miniature sets. Like, Isengard isn't a real place with a real building. They built the sets miniaturized and used camera work to make them look big, which is incredible. I mean, that's like, and everything looked so real. Rohan, Isengard. What's the place that they go to in The Return of the King? I don't remember. But anyways, that's most of the appeal of the original trilogy is the use of practical effects and the use of, makeup over CGI. And that's where the Hobbit trilogy got it all wrong, because there was too much CGI in that. The orcs looked terrible. And it looked like they were going to continue with that trajectory with this show. But I think I'm 4 episodes in. And I tell you what, man, I enjoy it. I really do. The orcs look phenomenal. Not too sure why they burn in the sun like a vampiro. Oh, that gives me another thing I want to talk about. We'll do a movie of the week in a second here. But not sure why that the orcs are now vampiros, which is Spanish for vampire. I'm bilingual. But they burn in the light now. If anyone can answer me, like, why are they burning in the light, in the sunlight? Maybe it was explained in the show and I just kind of, wasn't paying attention. But I really enjoy the dwarf and elf storyline right now. I don't remember the names of the characters, but the two of them together, the prince of the dwarves and then the elf, I don't know their names, but the two of them together, their storyline is very cool, I think. And just the overarching idea of Sauron being present and hopefully we get to see him in more detail and we get to see him in battle. I wish there were more battle scenes so far. I know it's a slow build to the finale, but like those first 5 minutes that we saw of man, just perfect Lord of the Rings content. And I love Lord of the Rings. I really do. And I gave the show a shot, obviously, and it's panning out really well. So I think I'm going to watch Game of Thrones tonight when I'm done with this pod. I did hear from my brother that there is a bit more floppy wiener in there, which is fine. It's all good, you know. I'm not hating, just it is what it is, I guess. Definitely not gonna watch it with my mom, that's for sure. If you watch Game of Thrones with your parents, you're a psychopath, honestly. If you watch Game of Thrones with your parents, you might as well watch Kitty and the Stud with your parents. And if you don't know what Kitty and the Stud is, Google it. But I'll also tell you now, it's a softcore porno starring Sylvester Stallone. Go check it out. I have. So we've talked about floppy wieners. We've talked about Kitty and the Stud. We've talked about Super Bowl Sunday, Monday. This is a great episode. All-timer, if you ask me. Man, what else is going on in the old universe in my life? It's fire weather. That's something good that's been happening. It's fire weather. And last weekend I had several fires. I started a fire without a fire starter outside, which all you Boy Scouts out there say, oh, you'll be able to do that. You just rub a few sticks together and blow on it. It's harder than it looks, all right? It took me a while, but I got it roaring. No fire starter, just some kindling, some cardboard, lots of cardboard. Thankfully, I have a lot of cardboard hanging around because people ship me bottles all the time, and I have no use for the cardboard after. So it's great. But I had a fire this weekend, smoked a cigar. First time I smoked a cigar in probably a week and a half, 2 weeks. It was a Camacho. Going to be picking up some Cubans this weekend for my boy Ron over at Wyoming Package. Oh, I picked this up. Picked up a little Russell's 13, $110. Shout out Ron. I'll probably review that next week. So I'm picking up some Cubans, some Cohibos from him. Cohibas. Cuban cigars, probably 5 or 10 of them. I don't know how many yet. What else we got? I know I'm missing something. Oh, fights. Ferguson versus Diaz. What a card, man. Very, very controversial card. Khamzat missing weight by like 8 pounds, but Khamzat's a beast. Ragdolled Kevin Holland. And Kevin Holland's not in the same stratosphere as Khamzat, but we all knew that was going to happen. But again, did not take one significant strike, took him down, was a pretty good sprawl for about a minute. Khamzat just sank in a rear naked, and that's what happens when Khamzat takes your back. He's not as good as a wrestler as Khabib, but he's just as aggressive and just as wild. He's even more wild than Khabib was very calculated. He pressure, take you down, calculated with his strikes. Khamzat's just a wild man. Super strong, super big. Hot take here. This is definitely going to be a hot MMA take. If you put Khamzat in front of any 170-pound fighter and any 185-pound fighter, I am confident that he will be favored on the books. I'm not saying I necessarily agree with that, but Khamzat is a problem for anybody in those two divisions. And I guarantee he beats up a lot of light heavyweights as well. I mean, this guy's the real freaking deal. The Kevin Holland fight showed that the Gilbert Burns fight showed that Khamzat's the real deal. But this Kevin Holland fight, yeah, is Khamzat kind of, does it seem a little weird that everything played out exactly how it did? Yes, but regardless, Khamzat's a beast. and whoever he fights next is not going to have a good night. Diaz versus Ferguson was just like, I can't believe I paid for Nate Diaz versus Tony Ferguson, but it was a nice fight. I thought they both looked good. Ferguson is just not the Ferguson of old. He's not the Ferguson of 2015, 16, 17. He's just not there anymore. That doesn't mean he's bad, but Nate Diaz also that's like the perfect fight for Nate Diaz is Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson's not going to necessarily shoot on you. And even if he does, Tony Ferguson is dangerous on top, but if anyone can slip that, it's Nate Diaz because Nate Diaz is so good on the ground. And they were training for Khamzat. I mean, I truly think Nate Diaz thought he was going to fight Khamzat. I don't really know if I agree with any of the conspiracies, but Nate Diaz thought he was going to fight Khamzat, so he was looking for that pressure, forward momentum, takedown, defense, off the back submission game, and he sank a nice guillotine on Tony Ferguson and submitted him. So he's a free agent now. I guarantee Nate Diaz, if Jake Paul beats Anderson Silva, he'll fight Diaz will fight Jake Paul. I don't know if that's going to happen, and I'm not sure if Jake Paul is going to beat Anderson Silva. And we'll talk more about that fight when it comes around. But for Tony Ferguson next, he'll be a gatekeeper from here on out, unfortunately. If you can beat Tony Ferguson, you're good, but it remains to be seen if you're great. If you lose to Tony Ferguson, it's not a terrible loss. However, you got some stuff to work on. Nate Diaz will definitely box, and I'm sure he'll box Jake Paul. If Jake Paul beats Anderson Silva, which is a big if. I actually am not confident that he does, but we'll talk about that at a later time. I think we have fights this weekend, but nothing of Contender Series is on. No fights this weekend. Next fight card is October 1st. Mackenzie Dern. God, we have fight nights are getting terribly bad. Really bad. Goes Mackenzie Dern versus somebody. Wow. That's a terrible card. Wow. What a bad card. And then the next card is Alexa Grasso versus somebody. Another really bad card. These fight nights are getting so bad, it's laughable. But then we got October 22nd. I can't wait to break this card down. Charlie Olives versus Islam Makhachev. Then you got Aljamain versus TJ and Peter Yan versus O'Malley. Oh, that fight's going to fucking rip. That's a fight card that take my money. That's one of those fight cards where it's like, all right, take my money. Canelo beating Triple G by unanimous decision. Didn't watch the fight. Haven't even watched highlights, but not surprising. Went back down a weight class at that Canelo never lost in. So that doesn't surprise me at all. And my movie of the week, I want to mention this real quick, and then we'll get into the whiskey. The movie of the week that I watched this week for the first time, I watched it with my dad. For the most part, like half of it with my mom and dad. And then I watched the second half by myself. And yes, I braved through it. It's a very scary movie, but I watched it. My movie of the week is a horror classic. I want to make sure I get the details right. Hold on a second. My movie of the week is a horror classic. God damn it. What is this? Oh, okay. I want to go to the film. Where's the film? Hold on a second. Sorry. Here it is. Upcoming. What? No. Okay. No. What? Okay. Here it is. Here it is. 89% on the Rotten Tomato meter. 64% audience score. These people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So, man, this is such a classic. Director Toby Hooper and a devilishly charismatic James Mason elevate this television adaptation of the Stephen King novel, injecting the vampiric tradition with fresh blood and lingering scares. The movie in question, 1979's Salem's Lot. Took a while to get there, but we got there. This movie is everything I look for in spooky season. It is dark. It is 70s, which is just scary to begin with. It has vampiros, vampires. It has really creepy music. It has kids floating in windows with lots of fog. It has a scene of a dead dog, which is super sad. It has really bad acting, but such bad acting that it's good acting, you know? And it's just not a good movie, but it's like Roadhouse. Roadhouse sucks, but it's so bad that it's a fantastic movie. Salem's Lot's the same way. It sucks, but it's so bad, it's a great movie. Notice how I said movie, by the way. This is not a film. Film is different than movie. Film is The Godfather. Film is Raging Bull. Film is Interstellar. Film is those movies that are a notch above the rest. I love Interstellar. Might be a hot take, but Salem's Lot is just an entertaining, spooky season movie that is so good. And I watched it for the first time. And there are some scenes that are legitimately a little creepy. And it was made in 1979. So, like, shout out to David Hooper for making that movie. Toby Hooper, sorry. Shout out to Toby Hooper. Toby with an E. Change it. All right, let's get to the whiskey, you guys. I could use a drink. Minions, The Rise of Gru has a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, in case anybody wanted to know. All right, Silverbelly Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Alan Jackson's Bourbon Whiskey. We got here chart number 1. Here in the Real World, it is 91 proof. We got here an image defined by an iconic music career. A career composed of timeless songs about life, love, and heartache by a man of integrity with a signature look. It's a cowboy hat. Silverbelly, the color of his iconic cowboy hat, a premium spirit distilled exclusively for and hand-selected by Alan Jackson. Every detail of Silverbelly whiskey has been carefully crafted to create a brand worthy of celebrating a career and countless memories for all to enjoy. Now, what I like about this, and you know, it's a celebrity whiskey, right? So it's like, oh, here we go, another one. What's cool about this is they're not doing batches; they're doing charts. So Alan Jackson has countless charted singles, so they're gonna every batch is gonna be a chart. It's not gonna be a batch. So this is chart 1. Here in the real world, again 91 proof. It's aged a minimum of 2 years in New Oak. It is Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, so legally it has to be at least 2 years. I don't know an age on it. I don't remember an age on it. I know it's distilled at Green River Distillery. It is distillate from Green River Distillery, which means it's definitely going to be good. I had the age of it. I think Jason told us when we had him on Bourbon with Friends, but I don't remember it. This is retailing at around $40, so it's in a few markets right now. It's not in every market, but it's definitely pretty well accessible online if you can get it online. From what I can remember, when I did this about a week and a half ago with the guys over at Bourbon with Friends and over at Silverbelly, a very good entryway bourbon. It is only 91 proof, so I was never really an Alan Jackson fan. I don't really listen to his music a whole lot, but I'm always one to try whiskey. So let's get into it here. And what I get off the bat, it's so subtle on the nose. It's just green apple and fruit. A bit of a floral, almost perfume note I'm getting. A little bit of nice vanilla in there. Not a whole lot of oak. A bit of a nice Granny Smith candied green apple. Vanilla is present. I wish I knew the mash bill on this. Oh, if you buy Silverbelly on finecask.com, you can add a JM's Dominican Churchill Maduro cigar for only $5 extra, in case you want to do that. Yeah, nice vanilla, just light, apple, fruit, floral. It's very reminiscent of a nose of a lighter proofed whiskey. Younger whiskey at that. That's why I'm getting the fruit, the floral, not much oak, but a good amount of vanilla. Cherries on there as well. Nothing too out of the ordinary with the nose. It's not bad. It's not great. It just smells like a young whiskey. Not a lot of alcohol vapors, which is nice. I know this is going to be a quality distillate because it is from Green River. So I know that, this is Jacob Call juice. It's going to be quality juice no matter the age. So let's get into it. Nose is pretty good. We'll drink it. So cheers, you guys. 95 episodes in. Who gives a dram? Let's drink some Silverbelly whiskey. Yep, exactly what I remember and what I expect. It does have without knowing the mash bill, I can almost guarantee this is very high corn. Because there is a grain forward note in it, like not malty, but grain, like cracked corn, dry corn type of palate to it. But there is a bit of a Kentucky hug on the back. What I mean by that is a bit of that rye spice, a bit sour almost, but nothing unappealing. Just a little bit of a spicier finish to it. But the front to mid palate on this is all sweetness. It's all vanilla and honey. That fruitiness kind of goes away a bit and just really opens up to a nice vanilla kind of honey vanilla bomb with that rye spice a bit on the back end there. Yeah, the oak is a bit more present on the palate. It does not really drink like a 91 proof, if I'm being honest. It's more like 95 proof ish. It does drink a little hotter. I think that definitely has to do with the rye percentage in this mash bill. Again, I don't know the mash bill. I don't know what the percentage is on it, but if I had to guess, that's what I'd say. This is pretty good. So, if you guys don't know, Green River Distillery produces Bradshaw bourbon. They produce Quarter Horse. They produce Howler Head, which is the UFC banana whiskey. Recently bought out by Bardstown, former master distiller Jacob Call. Was there. That's where Paul and I did our barrel pick of Bradshaw for the Bourbon Ball last year or earlier this year. It's my first ever distillery I did a tour of, which will always hold a special place in my heart. And getting to talk with Jacob on campus, on property there, and just see every little detail of that facility was incredibly awesome. So Green River in Owensboro will always hold a special place in my heart. I don't know what they're going to do with it now. That's Bardstown, but I'm assuming that it'll just be an off-site satellite location for them, and I don't really know. I'm not too sure how that works. I'm not sure if they'll keep the Green River name and just kind of continue to producing their brands, but it's all under Bardstown. I don't know if it'll turn into Bardstown, like satellite location. I don't know. I'm not really too sure how that works, but I really like the process over there, and doing that barrel pick, oh man, what a experience. If you have the opportunity to go do a barrel pick, I would highly recommend it. Being able to sit in a rick house, if you're lucky enough to be able to do it in a rick house, and you're sitting in a rick house or standing, and we did it in February, so it's pretty cold in there, and you're sitting there and you're thieving whiskey straight out the barrels. It's 3 years old, it's 4 years old, it's 5 years old, it's 6, 7, however old it is. You're just thieving it right from a barrel that's been resting there. I mean, some of that whiskey in there was probably older than me, and that's insane to think about. I'm 26 now, almost, so probably not, but close. I would highly recommend doing a barrel pick if you have the opportunity to either buy one, do one, or join one. But back to the whiskey again. This is a $40 bottle, and you know what? You would think at 91 proof, it's like, okay, this is going to be more regulated to a cocktail mixer, which again is not a knock on a whiskey if that's what it's regulated to. You don't want to make a cocktail with a shitty whiskey. So if you're saying this would be good in cocktails, which this will be great in cocktails, a cocktail aficionado will say you need high quality juice. You need high quality bourbon, whiskey, rye, whatever you're making your cocktail with, and that whiskey needs to be high quality. However, I think this stands out pretty well on its own. I mean, as a 91 proof, you would expect it to be very soft and subtle, but the overpowering vanilla honey notes and then that nice rye spice on the back end is quite surprising to me, being 91 proof and being what I would assume is a relatively younger whiskey. Again, I can't find any age statement and I can't find any mash bill. I think we mentioned it on Bourbon with Friends, so go check out Bourbon with Friends. I'm pretty sure we're releasing it either Thursday or next week, but go check it out. And let me know what you think over there, where we talk to the guys behind the brand here at Silverbelly, again, who sent me this bottle, so thank you. This stands out on its own just as a sipper, and that's impressive to me. Just watching the legs run down on the Glencairn here, it's not very viscous. It's more thin, but I think that allows the flavor to expand more than if this was. I think this is proofed perfectly. I think if this was a bit higher proof, if this was 100 or maybe even cask strength, a lot of people assume that a cask strength makes a whiskey better, when in reality, a lot of the times it doesn't. For example, Henry McKenna 10-year at 100 proof, bottled and bond, is the perfect proof point for that particular bourbon. And I'm very confident in saying that. Eagle Rare is another one. People say, Eagle Rare cask strength could be phenomenal. I think Eagle Rare has such a present oak note that it's perfect where it is. Buffalo Trace is the same way. Rare Breed being a lower cask strength. It's not up in the 120s. It's 116 is perfect. If it was any hotter, I just feel like it would get overpowered with the nuttiness in the oak that's already very present in Rare Breed. A lot of whiskeys are proofed perfectly. Now, could they be experimented with in cask strength varieties? Absolutely. But this right here at 91 proof, I think is a very sweet spot. And I know that's what they're going for at the $40 price point. They want people to buy this because of their fandom to Alan Jackson and because of the bottle, because it is a good-looking bottle, and be impressed with not only how it is in a cocktail or on ice, but how it is neat. I drink a lot of whiskey and I drink a lot of bourbon, and this is not bad neat at all. Not bad at all. Is it fantastic? No. Is it great? Probably not, but it's very good. It's so delicately sweet, and then it hits you with that rye right on the back, and I love that. If we're going to go into a score here, listen, this isn't my favorite. It's not really up my alley a whole lot, but it's great for what it is. It's a new release, so I don't want to do the score based on where you can get it. You can get it online. I was just looking at finecask.com, so you can definitely get it online. But overall, with everything considered, this isn't just another celebrity brand. I think celebrities are coherent enough now to understand that the celebrity brand moniker ruins the celebrity brands. That's why you see Dwayne Johnson pushing Terramana so hard, Conor McGregor pushing Proper 12. No matter what you think of the brands, they make you believe that they're putting in the work to make this not just another celebrity brand. Aviation Gin with Ryan Reynolds. Brothers Bond with the Vampire Diaries guys. I know I'm missing a lot. Silverbelly. I'm not sure exactly how much how much of the process Alan Jackson himself is in. Considering this is already distilled and it's probably just being presented in front of them of which one's your favorite. But the people that this juice is coming from, Green River / Bardstown, is top notch. So this is good juice. This is Puncher's Chance is another one with Bruce Buffer and Umberto Lucchini over there. Which I will do shortly on the podcast, but also go check Bruce and Umberto out on Bourbon with Friends. Had them on the podcast over there. Go check it out. I got to interview Bruce Buffer. It was sick. These celebrity brands, I think, are becoming more cognizant of the fact that when people see celebrity brand, they don't see quality. They just see a name. With that being said, definitely not my favorite bourbon I've ever had, but this is something I can see myself reaching for, especially in the summertime. This would be great in the summer, but I'm going to give this like an 8.2. It's not bad at all. I actually think it's quite good for what it is, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like what Frank Sheeran, no, Robert De Niro in The Irishman, or Al Pacino in The Irishman. It is what it is. It's what he tells Al Pacino. He wanted me to tell you it's what it is. What Silverbelly is good. Is it great? No. But I would definitely reach for this bottle and drink it. And at $40, if I saw this, it's got a beautiful box it comes in. I don't know if this is how it comes in retail. Oops. But it comes in a beautiful box. It's got like some straw on the inside to help keep it good. I was also sent some rocks glasses as well, which is cool. But it's got a beautiful box, got a beautiful presentation. The bottle doesn't look cheap. The bottle looks good. It's got a real cork. Shout out to Silverbelly for having a real cork. It's good stuff, man. So I think 8.2 is a fair score. If you see this on the shelf for $40, I would recommend picking it up and giving it a try for yourself. Because for $40, you can't really go wrong. Are there better whiskeys at that price point? Absolutely. But you won't be disappointed with Silverbelly, And I know I'm definitely not disappointed. And I want to say thank you again to Jason for sending me and my team over at Bourbon with Friends this bottle. I'm happy that Alan Jackson and his team decided to partner with you guys over there. So 8.2, solid whiskey. If we're doing this on the Bourbon with Friends scale, it would be a fuck yeah. It's not an I'd hit it. It's close to an I'd hit it. I'm giving it a fuck yeah. But that's going to do it on the podcast today, you guys. Hey, listen, I didn't touch on this in the beginning of the show, and I know we're 50 minutes in. I got to get going here. But I do want to I want to mention again that, just a few weeks ago, before everything happened in my life, we were charted at number 1 in Australia and number 2 in the United States for a few days. So I want to say thank you again to everyone who's listening to the show, who's downloading the episodes, everyone who's left rating and reviews, watching on YouTube, liking, subscribing. It means the world to me, seriously. And I'm working on ways where I can kind of make it up to you guys and maybe send out some stuff to people who I'm in contact with. I just don't have the capability now because I don't have a screen printer that I trust. And I don't have any inventory on me. I use drop shipping for my merch. But regardless, I just want to say thank you to everybody who has just, been downloading the shows, listening, and then, who has reached out to me and been just making sure I'm okay. You guys are the best. Thank you. I apologize for missing technically a week, but I'm back on the grind now. We're here 2 podcasts a week, hopefully, plus Bourbon with Friends. We're getting back at it, baby. Scotland's in a month. Going to be going over to Scotland, doing some content over there, and I can't wait to get into the fall season, get into whiskey hunting season, and see what happens here to close out the year. So I will talk to you guys soon. Probably at the end of the week, I'll probably stop in to check on you guys. But thank you for checking out the podcast. Thank you for listening. And always remember, whiskey's the water of life. So let's start living.